every single day, within a few miles of where you're sitting right now. Stores are throwing away the exact materials that serious growers spend real money on. Containers, soil amendments, weed barriers, seed starting trays, drainage systems, structural growing supports, all of it, gone, every morning. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 things stores discard constantly, what they are, exactly which stores to ask at, precisely how to use them in your garden, and why, in several cases, what's being thrown away is genuinely better than anything you'd buy new. No dumpster diving, no awkward conversations, just simple, direct asks at the right counter, at the right store, with the right words. Let's go through all 10. Number 1. Food-grade 5-gallon buckets. Most gardeners buy these new at hardware stores. But bakeries, delis, and restaurant supply kitchens cycle through them constantly. Frosting, pickles, olives, sauces. And once opened commercially, they can't reuse them, so they go straight to the trash. Walk into any supermarket with an in-house bakery. Go directly to the bakery counter, not customer service, and ask, "Do you have any 5-gallon buckets you're throwing out?" The phrase food grade matters. These buckets held food, which means they're made from safe, non-leaching plastic. That's critical for anything you plan to eat. Here's what you can do with them. Container growing for tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, and herbs. Stack them and drill drainage holes. For a vertical growing system, mix compost, transport soil, collect rainwater, store seed starting mix. Bury one inside a bed as a sub-irrigation reservoir. Here's something commercial container growers have known for decades. A single 5-gallon bucket is the ideal volume for one indeterminate tomato plant. Exactly enough root space to thrive, without the weight, cost, or footprint of a large raised bed. One bucket, one plant. Full season of production. Number 2. Large cardboard sheets. Appliance stores, furniture retailers, and big box chains are drowning in this material. Refrigerators, washing machines, sofas, all shipped in massive double-wall corrugated sheets that get broken down and discarded daily. Here is what cardboard does in a garden that nothing you can buy quite replicates. Laid flat on the ground, it completely eliminates grass and weeds in weeks. No digging, no herbicide, no landscape fabric that costs money and breaks down into microplastics. Cardboard smothers everything by blocking light, then decomposes completely into the soil over the following months, feeding earthworms and adding organic matter exactly where you need it most. This is the foundation of the no-dig gardening method that has dominated permaculture and homesteading circles for the last decade. The technique is simple. Lay overlapping cardboard sheets. Remove all tape and staples first. Wet them thoroughly so they conform to the ground. Then pile 4 to 6 inches of compost. You can plant directly into that top layer immediately. By the time your roots reach the cardboard below, it's already breaking down. Ask at appliance stores. The people unloading deliveries know exactly what's available. Go to the back dock, not the front desk. They will almost always say yes. Number 3. Spent coffee grounds. A busy cafe can produce 30 to 50 pounds of spent grounds in a single day. Most of it goes directly into the trash. Spent coffee grounds are a legitimate soil amendment with real, measurable value. They contain roughly 2% nitrogen by weight, along with potassium, magnesium, and copper. In a compost pile, they act as a green material, heating the pile and accelerating decomposition. Mixed directly into soil or spread as a mulch layer, they improve drainage in clay soils and add organic matter. Here's what surprises most people. These spent grounds are close to pH neutral, sitting between 6.0 and 6.5. The acidity in coffee is largely water-soluble. It ends up in your cup. What's left is far milder than most people assume, which means you can use them much more broadly than the old advice of only for acid-loving plants suggests. They also suppress certain fungal diseases when used as a mulch layer, and there's solid evidence that some common garden pests, slugs in particular, avoid crossing a band. Ask at any independent cafe. Bring your own container, make it easy for them, and most will happily set aside grounds for you on a regular basis. Number 4. Plastic milk crates. They're everywhere behind grocery stores and dairy delivery operations, and a percentage of them get cracked, damaged, or pulled out of rotation. They're made from high-density polyethylene, the same material as food-safe containers, and they're built to be extremely durable. In the garden, a milk crate is essentially a prefabricated raised bed with a built-in drainage system. Line one with burlap or landscape fabric. Fill with quality potting mix, and you have a container that holds approximately 4 to 5 gallons. enough for a pepper plant, a cluster of herbs, or a head of lettuce. Stack 2 crates and you have a raised bed that's genuinely more ergonomic for your back. Flip one upside down and use it as a plant stand. They're also excellent for storing and organizing tools, seed packets, and small equipment, and the open-sided, rigid structure makes them exceptional supports for climbing plants. Place one over a young cucumber or bean seedling and let the plant use the grid as its first trellis while it establishes. Ask at local grocery stores and dairy suppliers. Crates that are cracked or broken beyond use in their delivery system are fair game. Most stores will happily hand them over rather than deal with disposal. Number 5. Wooden pallets. But with one critical piece of information you need before you ever bring a pallet near your growing space. Look for letters stamped directly into the wood. HT means heat treated. The wood was treated with high heat to kill pests and pathogens, nothing else. This is the only type of pallet you want. If you see MB on the stamp, that stands for methyl bromide, a fumigant that is toxic and persistent in the wood. That pallet stays out of your garden, no exceptions. If there is no stamp at all, leave it. You cannot know what treatment it received. Clean, structurally sound HT pallets have an extraordinary range of garden applications. Stand one vertically, staple landscape fabric across the back, fill the gaps between slats with soil, and you have a wall-mounted planter that can hold herbs or strawberries. Lay 2 flat and stack them to create a raised bed structure. Arrange 4 in a square for a solid 12-square-foot growing bed. Use individual slats for path edging. Hardware stores, home improvement centers, and any business that receives large freight deliveries typically have pallets available. Ask at the receiving dock directly. Number 6. Nursery pots and seedling trays. Garden centers and nurseries end up with enormous quantities of empty black plastic pots once they've sold the plant. Most of it heads toward recycling or landfill. These are exactly what you need for seed germination and propagation. They're genuinely difficult to source affordably. 1, 2, and 3-gallon nursery pots are perfect for starting transplants, growing them on, and hardening them off before they go into the ground. Seedling cell trays, the ones with individual cells, are exactly what commercial growers use because they work. The cell structure keeps root systems separated, reduces transplant shock, and makes it easy to pop out established seedlings without damage. The quality is often better than what you'd buy in a package. Commercial nurseries use heavy-duty material designed to be handled repeatedly. Call ahead to independent garden centers and small nurseries. Timing is everything. Number 7. Bakery trays and produce flats. These are the flat, open-grid plastic trays that bakeries use to transport bread and produce departments use for vegetables. Usually about 2 inches deep with an open lattice bottom. They stack. They're lightweight. They are extremely durable, and they are discarded constantly. In the garden, they are excellent germination and seedling management trays. The open grid bottom provides drainage that most store-bought seed trays can't match. Water moves freely. Roots never sit in standing water. Place one on a heat mat for germination, and it works beautifully. They're also exceptional for hardening off. These trays let you move an entire batch of seedlings inside and outside in one trip. The open sides allow airflow that strengthens plants faster. Ask at the bakery counter or at the fresh produce manager. A cracked corner makes no difference for garden use. They will hand it over gladly. Number 8. Burlap coffee and grain sacks. This one surprises people. Specialty coffee roasters receive raw green coffee beans in large burlap sacks. Once empty, they just sit there. Most roasters have no use for them, and they accumulate quickly. In the garden, burlap sacks are extraordinarily versatile. The most obvious use is a growing container. Fill one with potting mix, fold the top down, cut drainage slits, and you have a large fabric pot with excellent air circulation. Unlike plastic, burlap allows air pruning. When roots reach the edge and contact air, they stop growing outward and branch back inward instead, creating a dense, fibrous root system. This is not a marginal difference. It fundamentally changes how well your plants perform. Spread flat, burlap makes an excellent biodegradable weed barrier that functions like landscape fabric. It decomposes into the soil over 2 to 3 seasons, leaving 0 synthetic residue. It's especially useful around young fruit trees and perennials. Cut into strips, burlap is ideal for tying and staking. Strong enough for a heavy branch, but soft enough not to cut into the plant. Specialty roasters are your best stop. Number 9. Cardboard egg cartons. This one is sitting on the checkout counter of every grocery store, and almost no one thinks to ask for it. Supermarkets discard them constantly. For you, They're perfect. Each cell of a cardboard egg carton is almost exactly the right size for starting seed germination. Fill every cell with mix and press in one seed. When your seedling is ready to go into the ground, you plant everything. The whole carton goes into the soil. The cardboard decomposes within weeks. Zero transplant shock. The cardboard also helps retain moisture around the new transplant as it establishes. This is a technique that commercial market gardeners use deliberately. Number 10. Newsprint and end-of-roll paper. Print shops regularly have end-of-roll leftovers, the last 100 feet too short for a press. Regular household newspaper works just as well. In the garden, newspaper in layers of 5 to 10 sheets is a lighter, more flexible version of the cardboard mulching method. It conforms to irregular terrain easily. Use it between rows as a weed-suppressing path cover. It also rolls into biodegradable seed starting pots. Roll a few sheets around a cylinder, fold the bottom, and start seeds. Zero transplant shock, again. Shredded newspaper is also an excellent carbon layer in a compost pile. If you run a worm bin, it is one of the best bedding materials. And the concern about ink toxicity is 50 years out of date. By the 1990s, virtually all newspaper printing had switched to soy and water-based inks. It is completely safe. The only exception is glossy magazine inserts. Leave those out. None of this requires much effort. A single phone call, redirecting resources on the way out. The mindset shift here is important. The industrial supply chain moves incredible quantities of useful materials. Most of those materials have a second life in a garden. You are not accepting cast-offs. You are recovering resources that the system was never designed to value properly. A fully equipped seed-starting operation for free. That knowledge is what this channel is built on. If this is the kind of information you want more of, practical, tested, zero-fluff knowledge, hit the subscribe button. Every video I publish is built around the same idea. Growing more, spending less, depending on fewer systems you don't control. Turn on notifications. Next week, I'm covering something that might change how you think about your entire water system. I read every single comment on this channel. Drop a tip below. The best tips in this community don't always come from me. See you in the next one.